Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still playing out the short-term warning signal here, which means the price is now about to retest a very important level on the price chart that we need to pay attention to, and this is happening as we now have new price targets starting to build and starting to appear in this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, which we also need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment alongside Ethereum, which is also still retesting this important line on the price chart, while the price of XRP is getting extremely close to breaking below a crucial level on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the superchain indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or bearish market. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have this massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which is getting closer towards invalidating, but not there just yet. So not much has changed over the last 1 day on the weekly time frame. But here on the 3-day time frame, of course, we still have this shorter term or smaller bullish divergence also still currently actively playing out, as I've been saying every day over the last few weeks, which means at least over the next few days, maybe even another couple of weeks, continue to expect either some choppy sideways price action or a little bit more of a bullish relief as a likely scenario over perhaps the next few weeks, for example, that sort of time frame, not necessarily the next few hours, so keep that in mind. But if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, right now the price of Bitcoin is just about to retest and pretty much already retesting this very important area on the price chart, sitting in between around 92,000 to 94,000. And obviously, like I've explained recently here on the channel many times, it's very important for the price of Bitcoin to actually hold above that level, to hold that as support, which likely this area will likely now be acting as new support. So if we continue to test that area, obviously expect some support around this area, which means the price could likely bounce from around this area. But if we actually confirm a break back below 94,000, or especially back below around 92,000 with a daily candle close back below that area, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, that would be extremely bearish, at least in the short term for the following weeks. And obviously that would invalidate this breakout towards the upside. So once again, this is a crucial level that we're now just about to test, and obviously so far so good, but we need to continue to hold this level as support if we are to continue in this more shorter term bullish trend, if you want to call it that, basically continue towards the upside towards the next price targets. And in case you're wondering, the next major point of resistance will be sitting at give or take $100,000 per Bitcoin, and above that I'd also expect a lot of resistance at around 106,000. And between those two levels, we also have the technical price target for this inverse head and shoulders pattern, which for now is still currently in play, and that price target is sitting at roughly $103,000 per Bitcoin. But once again, as always, we need to keep in mind the point of invalidation. If we confirm a breakback below around 94,000 with a daily candle close below that level, that would invalidate this breakout, invalidate this price pattern, therefore invalidating that price target. And so, like I said in the intro of the video, right now the price of Bitcoin is coming in for a retest of this very important level. And once again, we need to hold at this level to keep this breakout remaining active. But obviously, if you watched my last few videos over the last few days, this short-term cool-off, this slight little pullback here in the short term should not be surprising. This is very much expected price action due to a few different reasons. First of all, it's due to the fact that we have this bearish divergence actively playing out on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart. And as usual, a bearish divergence, which is higher highs in the price, lower highs in the RSI, means we're most likely going to experience a lack in bullish momentum, which means expect weakness for the price. So that means most likely a slight pullback, maybe some choppy sideways price action, as the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. And considering this is on the 6-hour time frame, it'll likely play out over a period of days, not necessarily months, not necessarily just a few hours, but once again a period of days, which so far over the last few days has been perfectly playing out as expected. And like I explained in more detail in my last video here on the channel, due to how the stock market ended the trading week this week, and of course due to how the Bitcoin ETFs ended the trading week, we're likely going to see a bit of struggle and a bit of weakness over the weekend for the crypto market due to those reasons that I explained in my last video. And once again, over the last 1 day, that has continued to play out as expected, and this will likely continue for the rest of the long weekend, considering Monday is of course a holiday for the US stock market. And so basically for the next 1 to 2 days, expect similar price action to what we've been seeing over the last couple of days moving forward. At least over the next 1 to 2 days is a very likely scenario. And remember, we will likely find a lot of support at around 94,000 give or take, which is this area right here. But that is definitely a crucial level that we need to hold in order to keep these larger breakouts remaining active here on the daily time frame. And something else that we need to consider and need to be aware of is, of course, the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. Looking at the last 1 week worth of price action, we can finally start to see some more levels of liquidity building that are pretty close to the price of Bitcoin, which means there's a high chance, as always, no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but there's a high probability that these levels will likely be taken out, especially if they're pretty close to the price of Bitcoin. And so, for example, this level all the way down here at around 89 to 90,000 might not necessarily have a high probability of being hit due to the fact that we have a lot of support between now and then. It's not necessarily extremely close to the price, but we now have this level building in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map at around 93,500. So around 93.5K to 93.7K, we have a decent amount of liquidity starting to build there that we need to consider, which is right around here on the price chart. And so obviously that suggests a potential dip below 94,000 at some point in maybe the next couple of days, but then not necessarily having to confirm a breakdown for as long as we just see a quick move like that, a quick candle wick, and quickly get back above 94,000 before confirming major candle closes below 94,000. Once again, for as long as we're seeing the candle closes above 94K and holding above that level, that's okay. Even if we see a temporary little dip like that to the downside to maybe take out that liquidity at around 93,500. So that's just a potential scenario that we need to consider as potentially a likely chance of happening at some point in the next few days. But for as long as the price of Bitcoin is still holding above that 94K level, we'll potentially continue the larger breakout over the next 1 or 2 weeks or so towards these higher price targets, and of course potentially towards this major liquidity here that's building at around 98,000. So that's also a price target to consider, but obviously a level that's closer to the price is this level at around 93,500. And so when it comes to my trading strategy over the last 1 day, it's not really changed at all. You can see currently I'm still in the exact same long position over the last 2 days or so. It's still been a $100,000 Bitcoin long position. It started out as a $150,000 Bitcoin long position, but then right at pretty much these exact highs just here, I did take a small amount of profits off the table, closing a third of the trade, reducing it from a 150K long position to a $100,000 Bitcoin long position, which I explained in detail over the last few days exactly why I did that. But as I also explained in my last video, I do expect this long position to potentially suffer a little bit just in the short term for the long weekend due to my expectations for this weekend, meaning some weakness for the price of Bitcoin, lacking bullish momentum is a very likely scenario over the next 1 or 2 days moving forward. But of course, that's why it's a benefit to take a bit of profits here and there out of the trade when we're sitting in some decent profits, and especially when we start to flash a potential warning signal like this bearish divergence, as I warned about right up here when I started taking profits pretty much at these exact highs right here. Obviously, that's one of the reasons why I do just take some profits here and there out of the trade. So even right now, as of recording this video, with the trade sitting at around 200 to 300 USD in an unrealized loss, overall, the trade is still in a profit because I still have a realized profit of around 900 to almost 1,000 USD. And so obviously, if I just close the rest of the trade right now, it's still actually a profitable trade, even though the current price as of recording this video is slightly below my entry. But ultimately, this whole trade and this whole breakout right here would only officially invalidate once again if we actually start confirming a break below around 94,000. So that would be the point where I'll just take a small loss and get out of the trade in order to avoid further losses. But ideally, obviously, if we continue to hold that level and then continue the breakout within the next few weeks or so, of course, in that situation, the trade will go much further into profits if that continues to happen. And in terms of other take profit points, those points have not changed over the last 1 day. So I'd still be targeting, obviously, this price target for the inverse head and shoulders pattern that I mentioned earlier. And of course, levels of resistance along the way towards the upside. And of course, if any other short-term warning signals appear, I'd also use those as potential opportunities or signals to take some profits off the table here and there, not closing the entire trade at any one point, but just slightly reducing the size of the trade anytime we're running into a potential risk of some shorter-term bearish price action. And so overall, those are my expectations in the shorter term, my exact predictions and trading strategy moving forward for the price of Bitcoin. And of course, if you want to take trades just like this for yourself, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on the BTNex crypto exchange. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. comment. In fact, the third link below the video will take you to the BTNX exchange, which I'm currently taking this trade on right now, which by the way is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also use myself, then in that situation, check out the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, because that first link below the video is also a no KYC exchange, and it will take you to the 2bit crypto exchange, where you can take advantage of some major bonuses over here that are available using that link. For example, over 18,000 USDT in bonuses, trading bonuses, sign up bonuses, etc., which you can check out using that first link below the video to 2bit. And on top of that, 2bit just recently partnered with La Liga, and they're currently running a massive event right now where they're giving away a whole bunch of different prizes and 800,000 USDT in prizes, basically using that link below the video to 2bit. You can check all of this out for yourself just simply by trading crypto. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Take advantage of this using that first link below the video. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and right now in terms of the price structure or the trend on this daily time frame for the Bitcoin dominance, we're clearly lacking momentum to either direction. We're just seeing slight little bullish moves, slight little bearish moves, but overall basically just bouncing around sideways, which means still expect a lot of the major altcoins out there on average to perform very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily much better or much worse. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH is obviously still struggling at this resistance at just above 3.3k, almost 3.4k, acting as major resistance right around there, and the next significant resistance is sitting in between 3.6k to 3.7k. And as for support to watch out for, we have a major area of support here at around 3,000 to 3.1k. And if we're zooming into this area on the price chart, but staying on the daily time frame, we can see, of course, this previous descending line of resistance now acting as new support, which we have been testing over the last couple of days. And that level sitting at roughly around 3260. So just below 3.3k, expect support around there. And obviously, just like Bitcoin holding above 94,000, this is also a crucial level for Ethereum to hold above in order to keep this breakout and this price target active. And in case you're new to the channel, this technical price target is still sitting at around 4,200 USD per ETH. So around 4.2k as the technical price target, still currently active. And as always, the point of invalidation would be breaking back below this level at around 3260. So once again, if we confirm, let's just say daily candle close below 3260, that would completely invalidate that price target, because it would invalidate the breakout for this price pattern. But obviously, just because we have a price target of 4.2k, it doesn't mean the price is just going to go straight there in a straight line right now. Of course, it's much more likely we'll run into a lot of resistance along the way at, for example, those levels that I mentioned earlier, like close to 3.4k, just under 3.4k, and also at around 3.6k to 3.7k as another area of resistance to watch out for. And zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 3-hour Ethereum price chart, obviously another reason as to why we've seen a slight little cool off and a reset over the last few days or so is due to the fact that we hit well into overbought here in the 3-hour Ethereum RSI, which means the price went too far to the upside too quickly. We got overheated, and it's a signal telling us that we are likely going to see a bit of a cool off to reset the RSI, which means expect either choppy sideways price action or maybe a slight little pullback. And obviously, since I said that right here, that's exactly what we've been seeing over the last few days. And remember, as I said in my last video in more detail and just earlier in this video, this will likely continue for the remainder of the long weekend, most likely for the rest of the Sunday, and even for Monday, we'll likely see similar price action to this moving forward just for the next 1 or 2 days. And then depending on how the stock market performs and how ETF inflows perform in the new week on Tuesday, Wednesday, etc., we can potentially continue this shorter term bullish trend, considering right now we're technically still within this bullish trend here on the small time frames, forming higher lows and higher highs. We're just taking a bit of a short-term break, a short-term cool off during that trend, kind of like what we saw just here, for example. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, right now the price of Solana is continuing to struggle and even see a slight rejection again from my exact area of resistance, still sitting in between 143 to 147. So obviously actually continue to expect a lot of resistance, which means a lot of struggle and likely rejections from that area on the price chart, which right now is happening once again, as we've seen many times over many months on the price chart for the price of Solana. And once again, like I explained in my last video and just throughout this video as well, we're unlikely going to see a major breakout this weekend. It's much more likely that potentially it could happen in the new week on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometime maybe in a week from now, for example. It could be more likely we could see a breakout if the US stock market and Bitcoin see continued breakouts towards the upside. But basically for the weekends, just don't really expect a huge breakout with bullish momentum. That's very unlikely. What's much more likely is we continue to struggle a little bit and show a little bit of weakness for the rest of Sunday and Monday. And as for other support and resistance to watch out for, if the price eventually confirms a breakout at some point above 147, which means confirming daily candle closes above 147 and holding above that area, in that situation, I'd be targeting around 166 to 170 as the next area of resistance to watch out for. And as for support, we have a small amount of support at around 140, and below that we have some major support at around 134 to almost 135. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of XRP here on the weekly time frame, we still have this massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which is still active because we've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to actually invalidate this larger bearish divergence. But we also still have a lot of support at around $1.80. So obviously not a lot has changed on this weekly time frame over the last one day. But if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, what is happening right now for the price of XRP is that right now the price is testing a crucial level of support, which is this Fibonacci level of support sitting at around $2.05. But really in between $2 to $2.05 is the area of support that I'll be watching right now. And we can clearly see that in the short term over the last 1 week or so, we've been perfectly holding that exact level on the price chart, $2.05. But if we eventually start confirming a break back to the downside, because considering right now the price is obviously looking very weak, we're clearly lacking bullish momentum, and obviously with Bitcoin cooling off in the short term, that's obviously not helping XRP at all. It's not doing any favors for XRP. And so let's just say if this continues, a little bit more weakness here for Bitcoin, Ethereum and other altcoins, etc. for the next few days, if that continues over the next half a week, let's just say, I'm not saying that will happen, I'm saying if that happens, that increases the probability that we could see a breakdown potentially here in the short term for XRP. In other words, XRP needs Bitcoin and other major altcoins and the stock market, etc. XRP needs these other assets to start regaining some strength again in the next few days in order to potentially avoid a breakdown here below this support. And so time is running out for the price of XRP, at least when we're talking about short-term moves. And if the price of XRP actually confirms a break with, let's just say, a daily candle close below around $2, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, it's actually quite possible we could fall all the way back down towards these lows at close to $1.80. And before then, we also could find a small amount of support at around $1.94 to $1.95. But really, $1.80 would be the next significant support if we break below $2 to $2.05, which is the current support we're testing right now. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, obviously Chainlink is performing very similar to Bitcoin and other altcoins. As I've been saying throughout the video, expect somewhat similar price action for a lot of major altcoins out there as to what Bitcoin is doing. So with Bitcoin struggling a little bit in the short term, expect something similar for Chainlink, which is what is happening right now. So basically for the next 1 to 2 days at least, maybe a little longer, but at least the next 1 or 2 days, expect most likely either some choppy sideways price action or very, very slight little pullback. So basically showing a little bit of weakness, lacking bullish momentum. And as for support and resistance, we still have some support at around 1340 to 1350 approximately. And we also have more support at around 1280 to 1290. And we have a lot of resistance at around 1410 to 1420, and major resistance in between around $14.70 to $15. And so obviously not a lot has changed over the last 1 day for the price of Chainlink, but either way, if you want to be prepared to take the next trading opportunity that I'm currently doing myself over on BTNX, get set up ready to go using those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to take advantage of some major bonuses that you can claim if you want to using those links below this video. So you might as well do that if you're going to be trading crypto anyway. And of course, if you want to know how you can take these trading opportunities, no matter what the price is doing for the price of any crypto asset, then in that situation, check out these videos popping up right here on your screen, because the video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.